Raised by Wolves, new sci-fi TV series available on HBO Max, with two of the first episodes directed by Ridley Scott. It came out of nowhere and it quietly gained increasingly positive reception with each released episode, and it certainly surprised me with how excellent it ended up being. The basic premise is this: it's several hundred years into the future, and a pod, a small spaceship, crashes on another planet, Kepler 22b. In that pod, there are two androids, codenamed Mother and Father, and a number of human embryos that they then use to grow human children. And as they raise those kids, we learn increasingly more about the fact that Earth was no longer hospitable, that there was a devastating war between followers of a Mithraic religion and atheists, and that the atheists mostly lost. But the androids that we're seeing were sent by an atheist to sort of smuggle a bunch of children out of reach of the religious people and to try and restart civilization, this time without gods and religion to divide us. But because of certain problems that end up arising and touching this small colony, the androids end up having to try and reach out into space for help, and the people that answer are members of the Mithraic Church. That's as much as I'm saying, and it seems like a lot, but in reality, it's just the rough outline of the first episode. And what surprised me most initially, I think, is how much more there is to the series. After the first episode ended, I was basically like, okay, where do we go from here? What is the material that will fill up the remaining 9 episodes? Well, as it turns out, there's a lot. The narrative structure is not always linear, and so we sometimes move forward with the story and discover new secrets of the androids, of the planet itself, of the Mithraic survivors from Earth. But we also sometimes flash back into the past to learn more about the world of the story and the backgrounds of some of the characters. I really enjoyed the way the story is structured and paced, and in many ways it reminded me of Lost. Like that series, this one has a lot of tricks and secrets up its sleeves that it carefully reveals over time, continuously keeping things fresh and interesting and engaging. However, while it may be similar to Lost structurally, I think it tackles different themes. The things that it borrows from in terms of the story would be the Alien franchise, Blade Runner, stuff like that. So in terms of themes, what we have here, parenthood and especially motherhood, specifically in the context of not being the biological parents of a child, and that goes for the androids, obviously, but not only. It is also about humanity and what defines a human being, again, mostly through the android story. It is about religion quite heavily, with a lot of references to the Bible and Christianity. Religion, faith, spirituality in general features strongly here. It's also about one's character and capacity to change, and how much one can try to change one's nature and under what circumstances. Now, obviously, I don't want to spoil any details, but just note that the series goes pretty deep on a lot of those topics, and it definitely leaves you with something to think about. It's not, light reading, something you see and immediately forget. It stays with you. Part of the reason why is obviously the story and the script, but I think it's really brought to life by the visual side of things. And that goes on the one hand for cinematography, for creating this weird, unique setting on the surface of another planet with special effects that are absolutely terrific, very high quality stuff. But on the other hand, it has to do with the performances. I think the pair of androids especially are stunning in their roles, particularly Amanda Collin as Mother. Just a powerhouse performance and a lot wider range of emotions that you might initially expect from this particular character. I think the kid actors are fine, the Mithraic people as well. In fact, the only person that didn't quite work for me was Travis Fimmel, known mostly from Vikings. I think he's a bit tiring because he always seems to do the same bloody thing. This slightly unhinged character veering towards insanity. And in this series, let's put it this way, eventually there comes a point where that makes sense. But for a good half of the season, he seems to be playing a much different character than is written in the script. His character is supposed to be calm, collected, intelligent, cool, but he just doesn't sell that very well. I don't know, maybe it's the eyes. He just looks slightly crazy right from the get-go, and that didn't quite work for me. Having said that, I think the series as a whole is incredibly well done. It's unique despite its seemingly simple concept. It goes to great lengths to explore some heavy themes, and it does it with a fantastic atmosphere and secrets that are unraveling at the perfect pace to leave you wanting for more. It has already been renewed for season 2, which is great news for me because the first one is obviously an unfinished story, and with the amount of mysteries that remain unsolved or just hinted at, I really can't wait to see more. For the time being, season 1 is a treat for fans of cerebral sci fi.